everybody. Welcome to #Share a Story. I'm Basil Brush, and today I'd like to read you Robin Hoodlum and his not-so-merry men. Settle in. Are you sitting comfortably? I am. You're going to love this. Robin Hoodlum was a robbing hoodlum. He was a greedy man, with a crooked little smile, a crooked little mind, and a crooked little gold tooth made entirely from snaffled gold. He would rub his hands together at even the slightest mention of money, or moolah, as he liked to call it. He was the kind of person who would take a teddy from a toddler or pinch the pocket money from your piggy bank when you weren't looking. You see, Robin was a tax collector, but he only collected taxes from the poor to give to the rich. Well, to his rich boss, the billionaire Baron of Bottybum. Now, the Baron was supposed to spend the money on roads, schools, and hospitals for the townspeople, but he secretly spent it on bubbly beverages and beachside bungalows in the Bahamas, Bermuda, and Barbados. You see, he loved the letter B, which is why he changed the name of his hometown from Nottingham to Bottybum. He also loved alliteration, which, in case you didn't know, is when the words in a phrase all begin with the same letter, like the Pied Piper of Pemelin, but not Hamelin, because that's spelt with an H. You see what I did then? So, anyway, as the poor got poorer and poorer, the Baron and his batty buddies got richer and richer. Now, because Robin was a bit of a card, instead of collecting the taxes himself, he would send his not-so-merry men to do his dirty work for him. They were a gang of very scary and very hairy, though not so very merry, men, who were all tall as lampposts, but not nearly as bright. They all had this glazed look in their eyes, as though they would rather be somewhere else. But as their fists were the size of footballs, nobody dared defy them. Now, the townspeople of Bottybum were in a terrible state. The Baron had raised their taxes so high that most folk didn't have the means, money, to feed their families, and had to use banks instead. Banks are places where kind people donate food for those without it. Even the Baron's own maid, Marian, had to share a single slice of stale corned bread with her daughter every night for dinner, and kept all the crumbs so there'd be something left over for breakfast in the morning. But the Baron didn't care, and if the good folk couldn't afford to pay their taxes, he would simply order Robin to take away their possessions. One evening, Marian was pondering the situation as she relaxed on her stone-cold floor. Robin's men had taken away the sofa. She was watching the wall, because Robin's men had taken away her television. Where was all the money going, she wondered? It certainly wasn't being spent on the roads, as they were full of potholes. And it certainly wasn't being spent on the schools either, as they'd completely run out of exercise books and desks. And it definitely wasn't being spent on hospitals, because 14 of them had closed down in the last fortnight. Marian decided to spy on the Baron to see if she'd get to the bottom of it. So, the following day, Marian hid inside the Baron's cleaning cupboard, being extra careful not to accidentally spray any sugar and spice and all things nice air freshener with her elbow or turn the vacuum cleaner on with her bottom. But she waited and waited and waited. Marian waited all day and was about to give up when, at last, she heard some voices. "I might go for a swim in all my lovely Wonga money," crowed the Baron. "Those townspeople are fools if they think I'm going to spend all that dough, money, on them when I could spend all my lovely spondoolies, money, on me, and best of all, me." "Oh, Blast, botheration and bottybum, the bubbly beverages have run out. I had better raise their taxes again to bring more dosh. Money. Marian couldn't believe her ears, although they'd never lied to her before, and decided to take a peek out of the cupboard door. "Here are your wages, Robin," said the Baron, handing over a heavy bag of coins. "And here's another bag of coins for your not-so-merry men. Keep up the terrible work." "Thank you, dear Baron," said Robin, rubbing his hands together. And he emptied the contents of his own bag into his pocket, and then when the Baron wasn't looking, he emptied the contents of the second bag into his pocket as well. Interesting, thought Marian. He's pocketing all the money for himself. What a rogue! Huh? Cried the Baron, with a start. What's that suspicious noise? Oh no, thought Marian, the Hoover! She had accidentally turned it on with her bottom. Who goes forth? Roared the Baron. It's only me, your maid. I was just, cleaning the cupboard. Marian lied, and she scuttled off, out of the castle. That night, after she had tucked her daughter into the bath, because Robin's men had taken away their beds, Marian made her way to the Ye Olde Tavern. And as she had suspected, Robin's not-so-many men were inside playing darts and drinking pints of swamp juice. It was free, so significantly cheaper than all the other drinks. "Hello there," said Marian in her friendliest voice. "What do you want?" slurred the most articulate of Robin's men. Did you get the week's wages from the Baron okay?" asked Marian, all innocently. "What do you mean?" "Baron don't pay us nothink," replied the burly buffoon. "Oh, yes, he does," said Marian. "The Baron gives Robin a bag of money for you every week. I've seen him do it. Unless Robin keeps it all for himself." "What do you mean? Robin doesn't pay us nothing," said the first one. "True, he don't," agreed one of the thicker men. Robin's men looked at each other, stupefied as they realized that Robin had been robbing them. They were so cross, they all turned a funny shade of violet, and steam began to pour out of their ears. It was rather unfortunate for Robin that he chose this exact moment to stroll into Ye Olde Tavern. The most hot-tempered of the men was so furious that steam was now coming out of his nostrils too. He grabbed Robin by the ankle and dangled him upside down, and as he did so, hundreds of golden coins spilled onto the floor. "You Robin, he yelled, pinning Robin to the dartboard. "It was all Baron's idea," lied Robin. "He told me not to give you a penny." The men were confused at this. They screwed up their faces and scratched their heads like they were trying to solve a particularly tricky Key Stage 6 maths problem. "It's rather difficult to know who's telling the truth, Robin or the Baron," said Marian. "Tell you what, why don't you pin them both up there, just to be on the safe side?" she added hopefully. "Yeah, good idea," grunted the men, stomping out of the tavern. Then, minutes later, they returned, holding the Baron of Bottybum by the scruff of his cravat, and pinned him up next to Robin. "Job done," grinned Marian. "Now anybody for a quick game of darts?" Now, when the news started to spread about the fate of Robin and the Baron, the townspeople jumped for joy. "Single mother saves the day," read the headline in the Bottybum Bugle. Everybody's stolen money and possessions were returned to them with immediate effect, including Marian's stolen furniture. Marian was elected as the Member of Parliament for the constituency of Bottybum with 100% of the vote. She set the townspeople's taxes at a fair level and made sure it was means-tested, so that the richest people paid the most. All the tax revenue was spent on the roads, schools, and hospitals, and they all liveth happieth ever after. Epilogue. But what of Robin's not-so-merry men? Well, it's funny you should ask that, because when they were playing darts, Marian had spotted that although their fists were the size of footballs, they actually had very dainty fingers, so decided to award them a grant to open their own hairdressing salon, which they had long been a secret dream of theirs. So, instead of being known as the not-so-merry men, they became the not-so-hairy men. And the glazed look in their eyes was replaced with a sparkle. They all became very coiffured, inventing sophisticated new hairstyles such as the man bun and the hipster moustache. People flocked for miles and miles to visit their salon, including the king, who awarded them the royal seal of approval for his high fade and stylish sideburns. What a happy ending, eh? The end. Now, I do hope you've enjoyed my hashtag share a story from Roundabout Dramatherapy. Storytelling and story-making are at the heart of how Roundabout ensures everyone's issues and voices can be heard. Now, if you'd like to make a small donation to the work of the charity, they would be hugely grateful for your support. A small gift will make a big difference to the children and the adults they support. I'm Basil Brush, and I thank you heartily from the bottom of my brush. Boom, boom! All this talk of money, I actually want to go and spend a penny now. I'm bursting. Have a nice evening. Ta-ta.